There was a time in my life where I was really struggling with insomnia. I had tried a number of sleeping aids like melatonin and Benadryl, for example, to try and get me to sleep, to try and stay asleep. It was getting to the point where it was affecting my day-to-day like super bad. I was having floaters all the time in the daytime. I was seeing stuff out of the corner of my eye. I thought I was going crazy. The lack of sleep was really getting to me. I started really struggling with sleep paralysis as well, which made it much worse. I had dealt with sleep paralysis pretty much my entire life, but at this point in my life, I was having it every single night for what felt like hours. There was one specific night I was laying in my bed. The way that my room is set up is my bed was all the way in the back of my room pressed up against a wall, and at the foot of my bed was my TV stand and my TV. So when I laid in my bed to go to sleep, the only thing that I could see was my TV because it was blocking the rest of my view to my room. I had fallen asleep and woken up in sleep paralysis. I started to hear this faint banging on what I thought to be my front door. It was downstairs, pretty far away, but the banging started out pretty quiet and then it increasingly got louder. It got to the point where I felt like it was consuming me. It felt like it was right next to me, but I knew that it was coming from my front door. After a time went by, it just stopped. So I thought that my sleep paralysis was coming to an end, but I was wrong. I was laying there in my bed and I was trying to close my eyes and go back to sleep as I was paralyzed and could not move. It was very uncomfortable and I was feeling more uneasy by the second. I had closed my eyes and opened them back up to see something standing behind my TV. All I could see was a head peering over the TV to me laying down on my bed. I had seen this figure before. He is referred to as the Hat Man. He comes and visits you during sleep paralysis. This is one of the most common figures for people to see when they have sleep paralysis. And even though I had seen him many times before, it gets worse every time. He stared at me for a while and then he came around to the side of my bed and stared at me from there for a good minute. I was laying on my bed doing my best not to engage or look at him, and he sat down on my bed, and at that point I felt a pressure in real life as if somebody was sitting on my bed. It caused me to kind of roll over in my bed and switch positions in real life. When I rolled, I felt as though I rolled almost onto him, and at that point I had heard this deep heavy breathing, and that persisted for what felt like 10 minutes. And since I had been dealing with sleep paralysis for quite a while now, I had done a bunch of research on how to pull yourself out of it because it is not something that you want to be stuck in that long. One of the things I had read was to start by wiggling the tips of your finger. So I began to do that and I started to regain control of my paralyzed body. As I'm doing that and regaining consciousness, I fall asleep and I wake up the next morning like none of that had ever happened.